All right, welcome, everybody. Happy Friday. We are super excited to see you. I'm Dr. Carey. I'm one of the CTE managers in the Career and Technical Education Office and Office of Career Readiness. I'm super excited because me and Barb are the pathway leads for Seagoing, which is definitely a part of transportation. But welcome, guys. We're excited to see you and to have you here this morning. So the purpose of our CTE Fridays is to provide students with direct access to industry professionals in various career pathways connected to your interest and your goals. You've been invited here because you've expressed an interest in transportation and in the industry itself, and perhaps having a career in the industry. So we're just here to help you connect some of your classroom experiences with some outside work-based learning experiences so you can get an idea of what your career trajectory can be beyond your first job out of college or out of high school. I'm going to turn it over to Barb because she is the master of this show.
Thank you so much, Dr. Carey. I really appreciate it. I'm just going to, first of all, we are up to 53 participants, and only like a fifth of that is the actual panelists. So like those are pretty good odds, right? So we're really excited to have you here today. As Dr. Carey said, we are a team and we are part of the Career Readiness and Work-Based Learning team. And we are really excited to offer this opportunity so that we can share with you and put you in connection with professionals in fields that you're actually interested in. So we're not going to talk too much. I just want to, if everyone can see my screen, I just want to go over some of our meeting norms, which is important when we're in professional spaces because norms change depending on where we are. And so we just want to go over those and make those really explicit. And then I'm so excited to have here with us three co-moderators that are from our Air Force JROTC program, and we're really excited to have them be in a role of student leadership. They have an amazing program. They're going to tell you about that program, about themselves. So we are excited to introduce them and also introduce their amazing instructor, Colonel Humble. So just a few norms here today. You already met Dr. Carleen Carey, CTE manager, myself, work-based learning specialist. And there's also, of course, always many teammates that are not with us, but have supported us through all of this. This is a collective effort. Just a few meeting norms. Most of you will know these by now, having been almost exactly a full year in these spaces, these virtual spaces. So please stay muted unless you are asked to unmute. Use the chat or the Q&A box for questions and comments. We will keep an eye on that. And the most important one, we don't just want to name the don'ts, we want to name the do's. Lean into this, engage with these speakers. Think of this as a form of networking. Get curious and use this as an opportunity to build your network. A few other things to mention here is that the reason we're focused on transportation is because it's such a huge industry in our area. There's roughly 80,000 Marylanders employed full-time in the transportation industry. And the average salary for someone in a transportation career is around $45,000 a year. I would bet that a lot of folks that are on this call will say, yeah, that's too low, right? Like, because the more degrees you get, the more education that you get, that number would actually go up. So that's just the average. So there's a lot of growth potential in transportation. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our student moderators. They are from, as I mentioned, the JROTC program at Baltimore Polytechnic Institute. Their teacher is Colonel Humble. They are Cadet Barzitsky, Cadet Blizzard Adler, and Cadet Lewis. We are so thrilled to have them. I am just going to stop sharing now so that they can introduce themselves.
Thank you. Hello all, I'm Cadet Colonel Barzitsky and I'm the acting group commander for 136 cadets enrolled in Poly's AFJ-ROTC program, Unit MD 933. So before we hop into today's program, I would like to tell you a little bit about our program and some of my experiences over the past 4 years. So AFJ-ROTC's mission is to develop citizens of character to serve their nation and their community. This aligns directly with our unit motto, which is Leaders Today and Legends for a Lifetime. For me, this program has been about distinguishing myself from the rest of the crowd, being seen as a leader in school, taking advantage of opportunities that students my age would normally never have. It's about being able to be led and being able to lead. Given that I am one of the top 9 leaders in my unit, I get the ability to be a part of something greater and more powerful than myself. For me, this program has absolutely been my life. I eat, sleep, and breathe JROTC. I do. It has helped me keep my head on straight and stay focused on end goals. And although our program is not a military recruiting program, some students like myself end up choosing military as a career. So I have recently actually enlisted into the Maryland Air National Guard, a part of the logistics team, and I'm looking forward to using everything I have learned from the program. And now I would like to introduce you to another member of Top 9, Cadet Captain Blizzard Adler. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Cadet Captain Julian Blizzard Adler, and like Barzitsky said, I am also in the top 9 at Baltimore Polytechnic Institute's Air Force JROTC. And I am the mission support commander within the top 9. Air Force JROTC teaches us many things, but one of the main things is leadership, because everyone is going to experience a leadership situation at least once in their life, but everyone's leadership path is always a little different. So some people sprint leaving the gate while others hang back and just chill until they're ready, and then they finish it out with a big bang. And for me, take me for example. Although I am in Poly's Air Force JROTC, I actually go to Western High School, and I had joined Poly's Air Force JROTC because they are combined schools. So I had joined the unit my sophomore year, and I was just chilling back, filling out the program, and then this is my 3rd year in the program. And within the first 2 years, I had never had any type of leadership position, not even a flight leadership. So now I jumped into I jumped from being just in the class to being in the top 9, which I'm actually the first Western cadet to be in the top 9. And this is all part of my leadership experience because I literally went from having no type of leadership experience at all to having a major one within the unit. So that is actually how I'm able to be here with you all today. But I am glad it happened that way because it has its challenging times, but I'm always up for the challenge, and in the end, I know it's going to help me even in the outside world as well. And now I would love to introduce the family man of the unit that we all love, Mr. Lewis.
Hello, everybody. I am Cadet Captain Lewis, also from our Poly's AFJROTC program. I'm also in the top 9. I'm the public affairs commander, and essentially I'm in charge of community service, recruiting, social media, and a fun little program that we call APT. So, like Ms. Blizzard Adler said, I am the family man, and that was a big thing when coming into ROTC. We're the biggest family ever. And if you can compare any other corps to ours, you can't, because we have this certain bond that we're so close. And everybody I consider Barzitsky and Blizzard Adler my sister, and everybody is my brother. Everybody is a part of my family. Even Colonel, we call her Mama G. And so we're a big happy family over here. We're very hardworking, and we can always work and collaborate with each other to get the job done. On top of that, everything is not going to be about business all the time. Sometimes, we're going to have family drama too. And we try to, like Ms. Barzitsky and Blizzard Adler said, we work with it, and, there's going to be bumps in the road along the way. And at the end of the day, they're going to be my brothers and sisters. So, we're a big family over here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lewis. I'm just going to share my screen so I can share the questions. I just want to shout out all of the leadership happening in this class, in this program. All of the questions today were developed by the students in the JROTC program. And so we're going to share their opening questions. They had some real innovative questions. We're going to share the first one and also share the names of all of our panelists so that they can be introduced by our co-moderators. Does someone from the team want to read that first opening question?
Barzitsky got it. All right, so this is where we want to get some participation going in the chat, so feel free to answer. So our opening question is, what came to your mind when you heard of the title of today's CTE speaker series, Careers in Transportation? So feel free to blow the chat up.
So maybe while we give a minute to people just thinking about what comes to your mind when you think about transportation, I'd like to give a chance for Colonel Humble just to introduce herself and say a couple words about her amazing program.
Thank you, Ms. Jajax. Good morning, everyone. My name is Colonel Humble. As previously stated, I am the Senior Aerospace Science Instructor for Poly's Air Force Junior ROTC program. This is my 5th year here at Poly, and I love it. I love this job. And when I retired from the military, everyone asked me what I wanted to do with my second life. And my response was, I just want to make a difference. And I can think of no better way than working with our young people, young adults, and preparing them for life after high school. And our program is so unique in that it gives them a bunch of life skills, things that they don't get in their academic classrooms, but that they are going to use for, you know, the rest of their careers. And that's why it's just so important. It makes a very well-rounded student, and the leadership aspects of it have to watch these young people grow in leadership has just been one of the most fulfilling things that I've ever been a part of. And we're super happy to be here today. We look forward to hearing from our panelists and of course our audience. We would love for you to be engaged as much as possible. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel Humble, for your leadership and for empowering your students to do the same. Okay, anyone want to read anything we got coming out of the chat there? What are some thoughts that folks had?
We have a good thought from a Mr. Rodney Kono. He says he was curious to know what other areas of transportation exist beyond driving trucks and flying planes.
Yeah, thank you. And we're actually going to hear from Mr. Kono. He's our project manager. And so I think that's one of the things when you're on a panel, you learn too as you're going. All right. So I also saw that somebody else said that they didn't know a lot. And so they were excited to learn a lot. And I think transportation is one of those fields that we have a lot to learn. So without further ado, if one of our co-moderators could introduce our panelists, and then we'll kick it off.
All right, so it's Barzitsky again. All right, so for today we have from DFI Engineering, Mr. Rodney Kono, Project Manager. For Maryland Transit Authority, we have Ms. Latoya F., which is Project Manager. Mr. Jared Max Gaithers, a repairman for the main shop. We have a Mr. Clarence C.J. Jackson, which is the superintendent. And then from Southwest Airlines, we have Ms. Patrice Bond, which is a recruiter. Mr. Michael Jacobson, which is the pilot. That's good. And then we have a Mr. Gabe Rios, which is a veteran and military recruiter. And then we have U.S. Coast Guard. And from there, we have Lieutenant Commander Alicia Flanagan for the Surface Forces Center. And then from WSP, we have Adam Greenstein, from Traffic Engineer.
And you guys can go ahead and lead off with your first question, general question for our panelists.
Okay, would be me, Blizzard Adler. So this question will go to all of the panelists. How did you get into the transportation industry and why did you stay?
So any one of our panelists, whoever's going to be brave and kick us off.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Clarence Jackson. I'm the superintendent over at the MTA's main AC and recovery division. And the question was, how did I get into this? I was in retail management, and I decided it's a kind of a funny story. I had a Jeep Wrangler that constantly broke down, and I decided to go to school to learn how to fix this Jeep. So I went to school. I went to a Lincoln Tech here in Baltimore, and from there, the career just moved on. I went from there to work for Saturn for 15 years, and worked for Beltway International, working on trucks, and then I came here to the MTA, and I've been here for the last 12.
And good morning, everyone. My name is Gerard Mazak Gathers, and I'm a repairman at the MTA. So what led me to the transportation side of this field was I originally graduated from, I went to Maryville, and I took the automotive program in Maryville. I graduated, and I started off in the dealership, but I thought it would be pretty cool because when I was younger, I used to always travel using public transportation, metro, the light rail. So when I decided to work for the MTA, it opened up endless possibilities for me.
Thank you very much. Maybe we could kick it off to just going down my list here, maybe Adam Greenstein.
Sure. So I work for a company called WSP, which has offices all over the world, but I am stationed in our office in Baltimore. I got into the transportation industry because I grew up outside of Philadelphia near the King of Prussia Mall, if you've ever heard of it, which is the largest shopping mall in terms of the square footage of retail space in the United States. You always think Mall of America, that's just the amusement park. Don't get fooled, Philly takes the cake. But I would go to the mall with my parents or friends and family. Growing up, in the traffic there is terrible. You're always sitting in traffic. There's crashes occurring at these big intersections. And I'm thinking, why do people get into crashes all the time? And how do we fix that? And why is there so much congestion? And how do we make it better? And then I learned from a few friends, there's a way to do it. And so I started looking into transportation opportunities, and I followed the engineering field. So I do studies, collect information, work with communities and travelers to see how we can make their transportation trips safer and more efficient.
Thank you very much. Rodney Kono, love if you could introduce yourself, Mr. Kono.
Hi, my name is Rodney. I am a construction project manager with Development Facilitators, or DFI. How I got into this into construction or transportation, I've always been around transportation or construction transportation, I would say. I did my internships when I was at Morgan State. I did my internships with State Highway Administration, both of which were on transportation projects, constructing overpasses and widening roads and adding utility lines onto the road. And then from that point, I moved on into the office aspect of it, where I am today as a construction manager. And the reason I stay here is because I feel like I am making a change, though it may not seem, I don't see the change immediately. I know once the construction project is over, once the transportation project is over, I do see the changes it makes to people who commute to and from work and who are just traveling to different places.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kono. I'm going to kick it to the Southwest team. So we got 3 folks here from Southwest Airlines. We're really excited about our developing partnership with them in city schools. So whoever from the Southwest team wants to kick it off, we'd love for you to answer that question.
I'll kick it off because the gentlemen are slow on the draw. My name is Patrice, Patrice Bond. I'm actually a recruiter at Southwest. I know when most people think of Southwest, which I did also, you think of our wonderful pilots and flight attendants in the plane. But there's a lot that goes on behind that. And that's kind of where I come in. I did not want to be in the transportation field. It was nowhere on my radar. I came from the property management side, but I wanted a career change. So honestly, I started temping all over the state of Maryland. And one of my first jobs was at Southwest Airlines as a receptionist. And once I stepped into that door, I knew that I had found a home. One of the biggest things that we strive to do is provide a great customer service experience. And we always say that we're in the customer service business. We just happen to fly planes. So I'm actually a recruiter. I get the opportunity to meet and greet and hire those wonderful flight attendants and pilots. And what keeps me there, honestly, we don't call ourselves HR, we call ourselves the people department, because we get to interact and bring in wonderful people that are a part of our family. And that's what resonated with me so much from the introduction of our student moderators, is that sense of collaboration and family. And that's why I stay at Southwest, because that's what I found here. Thank you.
All right, I'll go next. And my name is Gabe Rios. I am a senior recruiter here in the Baltimore area. I work with Patrice, actually, and I'm also part of the military programs team with Southwest Airlines. I transitioned into Southwest Airlines after a 24-year career in the military. Did not expect to go into aviation. It was something that just happened on a whim, and it was the best decision I ever made. Like Patrice, I am in the HR side of the house. I love going out and talking to individuals, to students, to college graduates, to college students, to veterans, military members that are transitioning from the military, looking for a career change, talking about all of the great opportunities we have at Southwest Airlines. The transportation side of Southwest Airlines, it has many forms of transportation, from, of course, our planes, which everybody knows and sees on a daily basis out of BWI, but there's also the ground transportation. There's also the support and the transportation on the backside at the airport that keeps the planes moving. We are a 24-hour, almost a 24-hour operation in certain parts of the country, and there are a lot of moving aspects to keep our planes going. So the best part about my job and what I like and what keeps me here is getting out and seeing and meeting people in the community, and then giving them the opportunity to come work at a great place. I can tell you here, it is the culture, the family atmosphere. It's one unique place that I do not see myself leaving. Having 24 years in one job, I'll spend another many, many years in this job, and then I'll hang it up and retire for good. Thank you.
Okay, I guess it's my turn. Thanks. I just had to let the dog out real quick. I got into this. I was one of those lucky people that kind of always knew what I wanted to do. So I knew I wanted to be a pilot from the time I was very young. And then I started flight lessons actually in high school. And then I went to a college that had a degree program that was tailored to what I wanted to do. So it was basically a bachelor's of science in aviation technology for people who wanted to be professional pilots. So it made sense. And then after college, I got into the Navy. I was a pilot in the Navy and served about 9 years in the Navy. When my commitment was up, I came to work for Southwest. When I got hired by Southwest, I moved to Baltimore. I'm based at BWI with Gabe and Patrice, and that's where I am now. I think what keeps me, what's kept me in this, I've been at Southwest now for about 15 years, and what keeps me doing this and makes me really appreciate and feel lucky every day for my job is that it's always different. Every day there's something different, and it's challenging, but in a really good way. It really keeps you thinking. It keeps you learning too. So I think that's what makes it a great job.
And I think the only people left maybe on our panel to introduce themselves may be from the Coast Guard, if they are on with us.
Yep, so this is Avery Weston. Hope you all can hear me. I'm pinch hitting for Alicia Flanagan. Just want to give a quick shout out for the Coast Guard as a, transportation agency, most people kind of overlook Coast Guard, but we operate a bunch of icebreakers, cargo planes. So it's also a nationwide kind of agency. I entered from high school. I went to the Coast Guard Academy, and that's how I entered into it. I didn't really know what I wanted to do in college, and the Coast Guard Academy provided some sort of military kind of structure, but also wasn't part of the Department of Defense. It was more of a Homeland Security humanitarian agency. Little known facts: the Coast Guard used to be in the Department of Transportation, so the agency does have a lot of transportation routes, and you'll kind of see some common themes, at least amongst the Southwest folks, that a lot of folks had service in the military to kind of get some flight time before they enter the careers in aviation. So, the Coast Guard does operate a lot of helicopters, fixed wing assets. So in terms of, it gives you a lot of diverse kind of background, and it really is a great organization to serve into. I've been in for 11 years since I graduated the Coast Guard Academy. Been all over the country. So it's more of like a nationwide focus, but there is some local, assets here and there. We're out of Coast Guard Yard and Curtis Bay, Maryland. So that's where I'm at right now. With that, I'll pass it back to you guys.
Is there anyone else on our panel that I have missed?
So there was another Coast Guard, Tom Kai. He was going to be talking. He's getting vaccinated right now, so hopefully he'll join us in a little bit. But Operation Vaccinate Workforce is in full effect.
That's awesome. That's priority. And that was Tom K. He was in before, and I was like, Tom, but he must have been mid-vaccine. So if he can hop back on, he's welcome.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, I'll turn it back over to our co-moderators with our next question.
All right, so our next question is, what type of background is needed to enter your industry? So I'll ask for volunteers, but if you don't volunteer, I think I'll have to call on you. So who wants to go first?
Well, I'll go first. So Coast Guard, so there's a variety of entrance ways. You can go straight from high school. You can enlist. If you pursue the officer realm, you almost need a college degree to enter into the Coast Guard as an officer. They do have the Coast Guard Academy that offers you a 4-year degree and kind of some training in the Coast Guard. It is a military organization, so there is that aspect to it, but it is not a part of the Department of Defense. So there's more of a humanitarian aspect to it. So qualifications for me when I entered was high school background. Academics is always looked highly upon. Leadership, so JROTC is great. You understand the military organization. You understand, bringing a team, teamwork, etc. And that'll kind of get you into the Coast Guard. And then from there, it's kind of your, up to you to kind of make it as you will.
Thank you. Do we have another volunteer? Going once.
Yes, this is Gerard Mazak Gathers from the MTA. The type of background that you need to be a repairman at the MTA is pretty much basic automotive or diesel skills just to get you in the door. But the MTA provides a lot of different aspects and different type of training so that you can pretty much carve whatever direction that you want to take and learn in that process.
I'm also going to jump in here. My name is Latoya. I'm with the MTA. I'm a project manager, and I'm in our Office of Customer and Community Relations. And there's so many other offices and departments within MTA. I needed a bachelor's to do what I do with them, but that's because I work with the public and I do a lot of speaking. But there's a plethora of ways to come into the MTA. And so you can come with just a high school diploma and some skills, or you can come with your bachelor's. I know there's also some master's level folks within the agency as well.
And this is Clarence. I'm going to jump into one of the things that you need to come in is leadership. And I was just talking to Miss Latoya, and she was telling me she was a member of Junior ROTC, and I actually was a member of Junior ROTC Air Force, your way to go, back in from 80 to 83. So good leadership skills, definitely to come in, at least into the management aspect of it, be able to work with and lead people.
Thank you. And was that the pilot that I saw on mute and wanted to talk?
I can, sure, yeah. No, I'd be happy to. I didn't volunteer. We joked in the Navy that it stood for never again volunteer yourself. So I let the Coast Guard jump in there first. But no, obviously as the lieutenant commander from the Coast Guard sort of pointed out there, to go into the military route of aviation, that's the officer side. So you do need to have a college degree. And just to keep it simple, let's just say you have to have a college degree to be an airline pilot as well. There are some exceptions, but 99.9% of the folks flying airplanes for our airlines do have a college degree. So that's number one. You do need to have that. However, you don't have to specialize. A lot of people think math and science are required. Math and science are great and really help, and I would recommend it if you like math and science, but you can get a degree in anything and become a pilot. So my wife was a pilot too, and she had a degree in English. So you don't have to focus on math and science. I think for doing the job day to day, maybe this is a little bit surprising, but I think of it as mostly information management. You really take in a lot of information, and you have to be good at sort of filtering out what's time critical, what you need to know right now, what you can sort of set aside for later. That's important, as well as interpersonal skills, because you're going to deal with other crew members and sometimes upset passengers. So interpersonal skills are important. And then I think also you really you need to be able to adapt and to deal well with change and sometimes rapidly changing situations. But that doesn't have to be a natural skill. You can learn that. So.
Thank you. Is there any other panelists that would like to answer before we move on? All right, so I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Lewis so that he can ask his question.
Hello, everybody. So just to break the ice a little bit more for us, can you guys, everybody, tell me about your day yesterday? Just like to break some ice and everything. Let me see. Instead of what Barzitsky did, I'm just gonna call names. I want to hear from our pilot again. It's just an honor. Can I hear from Mr. Jacobson, please?
Yes, sir. No problem. So yesterday, I drove. So I live here in Baltimore City, based at BWI. So all of my trips start and end there. Usually they're usually 2 to 4 days. But yesterday I did what we call, I'm going to teach you guys all some airline lingo here. It's called a turn. Turn is when we fly to one place, turn around, and come back. So instead of calling it a one-day trip, we call it a turn. So I flew to Montego Bay, Jamaica yesterday. So left at about 10 in the morning and was back at about 7 p.m. So when I go down to the airport, I walk through the airport. We have a pilot lounge there. So it's kind of down where you guys, if you're there traveling as a passenger, you wouldn't see it, but downstairs there's a lounge. So I can go in there and I review a lot of paperwork for the flight. So I have a dispatch release that sort of tells me that has the flight plan, how high we're going to fly, how long it's going to take. I review all that. There's a big packet of weather information. So I take a look at all of this stuff sort of before usually I go up to the airplane. And then I head upstairs, find the gate, and get to the airplane. And then I'm handed all that paperwork in paper format too. And then I'll meet the crew. We'll have a crew briefing. So I'll brief the flight attendants and the other pilot on what we expect for the day in terms of weather and all of the other things. And then we take off and start flying. And once we're in the air, a lot of the time we're just kind of, we're using the autopilot for a lot of the trips. So you're not actually hand flying the airplane most of the time. But again, you're managing the systems, managing the autopilot and all that. I might be able to show everybody here's one picture of, can everybody see that? So this is what it looked like going to Montego Bay yesterday. This is a view out the front. This is my view from the left seat out the front of the aircraft, and that sort of that glass screen that you see in the front is called a heads-up display. That projects the instrumentation in front of my eyes. So it's enables us to fly very precise approaches. So that's what you see there. I might have one other picture that I want to show you, because the ocean was really, one of the great things about this job is just to see everything from all these different viewpoints. And I might have another picture here. Well, I don't see it, but if I come with it later, I will, I'll bring it up. But yeah, so that was basically my day yesterday.
It sounds very eventful. It would be amazing to have a job like that, just to be traveling all the time. Can I have I kind of want to hear from Ms. Bond.
Oh, I love being voluntold. Thank you, Mr. Lewis. I appreciate that. So honestly, my day, I'll talk about pre-COVID days a little bit and then kind of what my job looks like now. We also, as recruiters, oddly enough, we do turns also, because I handled the Northeast region of hiring. So that considered a New York region. So my day could look like getting on the first flight out. We call it the first thing smoking, out at 6 o'clock in the morning to get to Albany, to do a full day, about 10 to 12 interviews, trying to hire our ground crew. So, we have Mr. Jacobson who, those pilots and those flight attendants, but we have to have people who can push the plane out, who takes those tickets, who takes those boarding passes. And Gabe and myself, we pretty much handled recruiting those positions as well as the mechanics. So my day could be in Albany one day, and then the next day I could be on a plane. I would come home the same day. The next day I would be going to Buffalo. Now post-COVID, that has changed for us. So now we have had to, in the words of Mr. Jacobson, be more agile and adapt, because now we're doing video interviewing. So that's what we're doing now, as well as kind of loaning our love throughout the system to do other jobs while our recruiting has been put on hold. But still, we get to interact with wonderful people like you. And we also still get to interview in a virtual sense. So that's kind of the recruiting side of Southwest.
Awesome. Great to hear from you. Let's see. I'm gonna, just so we can, have a good timing and everything. I wanted to ask our students, do they have any questions about, what the average life of these people are? Anybody want to pitch in or use the chat if you want to? Any questions, just throw them in the chat. For right now, I'm going to head over to, head over to Mr. Kono. Just tell us about your day yesterday and everything.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. My day yesterday, well, first, I started at 7 a.m. So once I got to the office, I had meetings with my coworkers with the construction and the transportation team, just to get a feel of what's happening the rest of the day. I had a progress meeting for my project that's down in St. Mary's, where they are constructing a roadway that leads down to some neighborhoods in Patuxent Park, and that's actually really close to the Chesapeake. So on Fridays, I usually drive down that way, but today I'm here with you guys. So yesterday we had a meeting just to talk about the progress of it, any issues, and to see where we are in the project, and get an idea on the schedule as to what's the upcoming work. Right after that, I had to head out of the office to go to another project for another meeting. This project is at a park in Anne Arundel County, and funny thing is, right next to the park, there's sand and water. So whenever I leave the office to go out there, I call it going to the beach, because it's pretty nice. It's just chill over there. We went out there, had another meeting for this project that is actually starting at the end of this month, March 28th, I believe, where I met with the different stakeholders, different project managers, the clients, and the contractor, just to talk about how this project would come about. what the contractors will need, if there are any issues they see forthcoming before the project actually starts. Once that was over, my day sometimes is on the road quite a bit. Once that was over, I had to head back to the office again, get some paperwork done, send out some emails, and then back out to another project, which was this one when I was actually assisting a coworker on his project. This is a building project actually. But once all that was done with, I came back home.
Again, it sounds very eventful. Yeah. What I'm going to do is hand it over to Ms. Blizzard Adler for our next question. Thank you guys for, talking with me and just telling us about your day.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. So the next question is, what is one of the common myths people have about your industry, and what is the true reality? So first, I'm going to ask for any volunteers. Yes, no?
I'm sure. I'll take this one. We started out, and of course, you see the planes in the background. And you think of our wonderful pilots, like Mr. Jacobson, you think of flight attendants. But as far as Southwest, there's so many jobs that you don't see. And some of those are really critical. We have, our ramp agents, our customer service agents, our ops agents on the ground. We have our mechanics. We have meteorologists. We have culture ambassadors. We have HR. We have marketing. We have technology, IT. There's so many different parts of Southwest that you don't see, that aren't so apparent, that if you are interested in aviation, it doesn't necessarily have to be those go-to positions such as flight attendant and pilot. There are some behind the scenes, payroll, auditing, finance, general counsel. There's a lot of government interaction that we have to deal with as far as the, the FAA and those types of places. So definitely don't limit yourself to just thinking of those customary occupations within aviation. There's a lot behind the scenes. Thank you.
How you doing?
Okay. Oh, okay.
How you doing? This is Clarence again. And one of the major misconceptions with transit and MTA is that we just deal with buses. On our end, what me and Mr. Gathers do, we deal with just the transit and the buses, but the MTA is part of MDOT. So there's aviation, we have rail systems. We have a lot of different systems, and it's a lot of different jobs that it takes to make this this deal go. We're actually essential personnel. So when there's a snow emergency or any kind of problem, we're in my towing division, my recovery division. We help to move trucks and different things, city ambulances and things off the street in snow emergencies, as well as the guys that I superintend. We get out and we have to do certain things to make sure that the state keeps running. So it's not just dealing with, buses and patrons on the bus, but there's a lot more to what we have to get done.
And to add in, it's just MTA itself is so much, kind of like they were saying with Southwest, we have an IT division, we have our Office of Innovation who's helping with new tech when it comes to how you get on the bus to what buses you ride. So if you're thinking about transit in a way where you want to look at the future of electric buses or the future of the apps that are used when we're looking for which bus is coming next, there's offices for that. Then we have our planning office that looks at our planning and Office of Service Development that looks at future routes and how our bus routes get laid out and what projects we're looking at next, where we're going to put a new bus division or where we're going to, try to put new trains. So there's all of those positions as well.
Okay, that sounds great. There's actually a question in the chat that I'm going to address real quick. So the question is from Ms. Haneker. the question is, I have students in the IT field. What would it take to work on board flight computers, flight systems, and ACARS? So that is for one of the two Southwest members.
About when it comes to working on our systems and our aircraft and as far as our mechanics, okay? Southwest Airlines hires mechanics with a general, I guess you could say, a very vast background in all systems of the aircraft. So we do not specialize in hiring mechanics that work on the avionic components or the engine components or the structure of the aircraft. We hire mechanics that have a knowledge of all aspects of the aircraft. So it's vitally important for those individuals that are looking at aviation, maybe looking at an aviation school, mechanics school, that can get in there. The military is also another great route of getting that experience. We hire a lot of the service members and veterans that have a military background in aviation. Now in the military, you may specialize in one certain component of a military aircraft, but you're going to get cross-trained also as well. The components of the aircraft in all aircraft are usually the same when it comes to the rudder, different components of the aircraft. So your general knowledge is there. But when it comes to the actual specific avionics, those are very, very specialized systems. And a lot of those systems at Southwest Airlines are handled by our heavy maintenance hangars in Dallas. BWI is very different. Baltimore is the largest hub on the East Coast for Southwest Airlines. Pre-COVID, we were doing about 230 flights on the average a day. And then at nighttime, our mechanics were coming in and servicing our aircraft. Now, our mechanics work outside. There is no hangar for Southwest Airlines aircraft in BWI. In all aspects of the weather, rain, sleet, snow, cold, heat, they were all out there working. If different components of the aircraft need to be worked on, Southwest Airlines is very fortunate. We can bring and ferry parts in from other parts of the airline industry, other airports. We can fly. We have certain mechanics that are always on ground 24/7. Or if we need somebody with a specialized background, we can fly them in from other parts also as well of the country. I kind of hope that kind of answers your question a little bit when it comes to specific avionics in the generalized of the mechanic side.
Okay, thank you. And now I'm gonna hand it over to Barzitsky.
All right, so I have a pretty interesting question, and I actually want to give this one to Southwest as well for one of you. How has COVID impacted your industry?
Patrice, do you want to take that or?
Yeah, sure. I'll take parts of it, but I know it definitely affected you. As an airline, what we love to do is connect people to, the things that they love and to their important events. And COVID definitely affected that. It affected all of us, not just the communities that we serve, but all of our employees. It was very touch and go there for a minute as far as whether or not we were going to survive. And I think that's what really is one of the biggest things we learned out of COVID is innovation, is perseverance, and knowing that we didn't have to do things the same way that we had done it for so long. So I like to spin things as far as a positive way that, in the recruiting side, like I said, all we did was we would go different places. We would get on the plane, we would interview that way. But now we had to learn how to work remotely. We had to learn how to meet our passengers where they were and still provide great service. We had to safeguard our employees and our customers. And we also had to provide a sense of safety and compassion to those who were still willing to fly. And I think that's one of the biggest things that came out of COVID for us was the sense of perseverance, that we're going to get through this together, that we're going to fight for every passenger, that we're going to make it worth their while. So hopefully, going forward, we get to take that kid to Disney for the first time. We get to reunite those family members. And that's what kind of kept us going during this time of COVID, which was so hard for all of us. But I think that the biggest part of what came out of it was us learning to do things differently and being okay with that, being agile, and being innovative. So if I could, kind of really impact the conversation around you as far as students growing, is having that notion of innovation, of speaking out and giving us those ideas that can make it a better customer service experience wherever you go within the aviation industry, is creating that sense of innovation and that your ideas matter. And I think that's what we learned a lot here at Southwest during COVID.
Thank you so much. All right, so I'm actually going to turn it back over to Mr. Lewis.
Okay, hello again. My big question that I've been wanting to hear from everybody is, what career mistake has given you the biggest lesson? Can I please have one volunteer to answer that question for me?
I'd be happy to, if you don't mind if I pitch in real quick.
Perfect.
Sure. On the traffic engineering side, working on roadway transportation, one of the biggest problems that was definitely self-inflicted was overpromising something to a community and not being able to deliver. So all the projects that we work on impact communities directly, whether it's a bridge project or finding ways to slow traffic on a local street. And we meet with these communities and we sometimes do presentations to them. We talk with them. We work with community leaders and elected officials. We discuss these ideas to say, how can we make transportation in your neighborhood safer? How can we make it easier to get from your home to school, home to the library, the grocery store? And so we'll come with presentations and discussion points and talk with people about their ideas and some of the ideas that we have, and we'll come up with a plan. And a couple of times in these meetings, especially with larger groups, we've overcommitted. And we want to do all these things to help make people's lives better, because you rely on transportation literally every day. Even if you don't leave your house during COVID, you still rely on transportation every single day because someone might be coming to bring something to where you live, even if you're not going anywhere. And in a couple of these meetings with community leaders and the public and elected officials, we have committed to a certain number of items to say, maybe we can improve this intersection to reduce crashes, and we can install sidewalk in your neighborhood where it doesn't exist. We can try to reroute a bus transit service to better serve your neighborhood, but we can't necessarily do all of them. And so we have to make it sound like we're going to try to do as much as we can, and here's a list of opportunities. And we have sometimes overpromised to say we can do all these things, and we really can't, because money is also an issue and the funding can't be stretched to literally everything. That's one of the biggest challenges that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. But it gives us an opportunity to really get to understand on a personal level what communities are dealing with day to day, and figuring out how to prioritize what are the biggest issues that they're dealing with, how do we solve those, and then try to, over time, get to the rest of that list.
Thank you. Now I'm going to hand it right back over to Mrs. Blizzard Adler. Take it away.
Thank you. So that's going to be my last question. Sorry for any background noise. So the question is, what is the biggest challenge in your industry, or what kinds of problems are you solving in your industry in the last 10 years? And I'm going to ask Mr. Rios. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I'm going to ask you that.
And just a heads up, this is going to be the last question because we want to be respectful of everyone's time. And we also want to leave some questions for networking and contact information exchange as well. Thank you, Mr. Rios.
I didn't hear you on that one. Can you repeat?
Sure. This is going to be the last question for our panel in respect of folks' time and folks' schedule, but we are super excited because we also want to talk about networking and how to stay in contact and exchange contact information and that sort of thing.
Thank you.
I'll make it quick. So the biggest challenges when it comes to the transportation industry, and I'm going to talk about from the HR side of it, you have to understand we're looking for people that we bring into our industry that are flexible, understand working in all weather conditions. Aviation is the only job that I know personally that Mother Nature controls, whether we come to work in early, whether we work late, how long we work, different aspects of the weather to control the aircraft that can stay grounded. Lightning, you cannot work in those safety environments and things like that. So there's a lot of aspects in this job field that we look for individuals from the HR side that have a great attitude, willing to work, have a warrior spirit, have a fun-loving attitude, are really willing to go out and push themselves to grow, to learn, and to have an opportunity for career development in a field that can start off in one spot. And we've had plenty of Southwest employees that have started off in ground operations and that have now moved into careers like Mr. Jacobson's, and that are actually flying planes. So don't limit yourself, keep the doors wide open, and best of luck to you throughout this whole process.
Thank you, Mr. Rios. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Shamira Bones.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I just wanted to highlight some upcoming events from the Office of Career Readiness and the Work-Based Learning team. We'll be putting these events in the chat. In the immediate future, we have next CTE Friday, which will be April 9th. We will be exploring careers in healthcare and STEM. It's actually going to be in a mini conference format, which will be from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. So hopefully you'll be able to join us. Also, please keep in mind that March 19th is the YouthWorks application deadline. There's a lot of opportunities for students. And we'll also we're highlighting the DENT summer program. This is a different summer program for students who are interested in the arts. That application actually ends today, so please submit your interest form. You must have a YouthWorks application on file. And our last event we have in May, May 10th, 12th, and 14th, we'll have our senior recruitment fair. So if you're a senior in Baltimore City Public Schools and will be graduating, please join us for the senior recruitment fair in partnership with the Mayor's Office of Employment Development.
Excellent. Thank you, Shamira. I just want to take a minute and express my gratitude to all the panelists for spending time with us today. I know I learned a lot of things about the transportation industry, from the need to be flexible in the human resources side, to needing a 4-year degree to be a pilot, to thinking about, you know, the planes, trains, automobiles, and boats that are involved at the MTA. So I really want to applaud you guys for spending your time with us and to thank you expressly. As Barbara alluded to earlier, networking is the biggest part of developing your career and growing your career and sustaining your career at every stage. So in terms of contact and follow-up, would you prefer that the students kind of contact you guys on LinkedIn if that's okay? Or if you're okay with emails, did you want to contact Barbara and see if that's okay as well? I know that some panelists before like to put their email in the chat for the students to contact them if necessary, but that's not required. That's only an option. But I did want to say thank you guys so much because we are right at time. Good Lord. Barb, did I miss anything?
The exit survey, in the chat, there is an exit survey. Please provide us feedback about today's event and let us know how we can bring more events like this to you.
Thank you, Shamira.
Absolutely. I was just going to say there's a bunch of links there. We've got a link to our newsletter. Our newsletter has so many opportunities as well. And so please take a look there. Upcoming opportunities that Shamira mentioned, all of that is in the chat. And if there was anybody that you just want to connect to, maybe you're a teacher and you saw somebody and somebody was talking about something that is coming up in your curriculum, please reach out to ourselves, the Work-Based Learning team. I think Dr. Carlin Carey will put her email in there. I will also add my email in there if you would like to reach out to us, but you should have it since you were all, I was communicating with you leading up to this event. So please reach out and we are happy to keep the conversation going. And I also just want to celebrate our students who were so amazing in their own leadership and their teacher, who was obviously their leader in all of this, growing our young people into opportunity. And that is it for us. So again, once again, thank you to our panelists. Thank you to our teachers, our students, everybody who is with us today. And we will look forward to continuing our conversation, expanding our knowledge in all of the careers around transportation. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.